The rain had stopped hours ago, but the sound of dripping water still echoed from the gutter outside. The swings in the backyard moved back and forth like something invisible pushed them. Under the silver glow of the moon, the yard looked endless. Wet grass, scattered toys, and footprints that weren't there a few seconds ago. A child's laugh carried through the air, faint but unmistakable. It was playful, bright, and horribly out of place at 2 in the morning. Inside the basement, little Sophie Miller pressed herself against the cold metal of the washing machine, holding her breath. Her eyes darted toward the narrow gap under the door where the faint light from upstairs leaked through. She could hear the footsteps above, slow, patient, and deliberate, moving room to room. Her mother was asleep upstairs. Her father was working late. And Sophie, she was still playing. "You can't hide forever, Sophie?" The voice drifted down the staircase, sing-song and teasing. But it wasn't her friend's voice. It wasn't even human anymore. Sophie covered her mouth tighter. The house moaned under the weight of the wind. Then came the whisper, so close she could feel it on her neck. "Found you." The dryer door slammed shut with a metallic snap. The light bulb overhead flickered once, then went dark. The next morning, her mother thought she'd gone missing. But the police found no sign of forced entry. No broken window, no footprints. Just a tiny handprint on the inside of the dryer door. 3 months earlier, the Millers had moved from Denver to the small, forgotten town of Willow's Edge. It was one of those quiet American towns where everyone smiled but never really talked. Old men sat outside the diner every morning. Kids rode their bikes until sunset, and nothing ever happened. That was what attracted Daniel and Claire Miller in the first place. Peace. A slower life. A safe place for Sophie to grow up. The house they bought sat on the edge of the woods. 2 stories, white paint peeling but solid. It even came with a huge backyard. When Claire first walked in, she noticed a strange smell. Wet earth and something like old wood, but she dismissed it. Old houses always had smells. What mattered was that Sophie loved it. She ran from room to room, opening doors, laughing, exploring every corner like she just found a secret kingdom. The realtor, a thin woman with sharp eyes, handed Daniel the keys with an odd expression. "You'll want to keep the basement door locked at night," she said with a forced smile. Daniel laughed, assuming it was a joke. She didn't laugh back. That night, Sophie couldn't sleep. The wind outside howled softly, brushing against the windows. From her bed, she could see the outline of the swing set in the backyard. One of the swings was moving. Not much, just a slow back and forth like someone was sitting there, gently pushing off the ground. She watched it for a while until she heard a small knock at her window. 3 soft taps, then silence. She sat up, staring. Nothing. Her parents' bedroom door was closed down the hall. The clock glowed 12:47 a.m. And then, right outside her window, a voice whispered, "Wanna play hide and seek?" Sophie's heart pounded. She looked outside again, but no one was there. Just fog and the faint shimmer of the swing moving on its own. The next day, she told her mom. Claire laughed at first. "Sweetheart, maybe it was a dream. You're just getting used to the new place." But when Sophie added, she said her name was Lily, Claire froze. "How do you know that name?" Sophie shrugged. "She told me. She said she used to live here." Claire didn't answer. She turned away, biting her lip. Because when they'd first toured the house, the realtor had almost slipped and mentioned a little girl named Lily, before quickly changing the subject. Daniel had brushed it off. Claire hadn't. That evening, Claire found Sophie standing in the backyard near the trees. The fog was rolling in fast, wrapping around the branches like pale smoke. "What are you doing out here?" Claire asked. "Lily said it's my turn to hide," Sophie said, her eyes wide and serious. Claire looked toward the woods. Nothing but shadows. "Sophie, there's no one there," she said, taking her hand. "No more games outside at night, okay?" But Sophie didn't move. She said she doesn't like grown-ups. That night, the house creaked more than usual. Daniel blamed it on the old foundation. Claire blamed it on the wind. But Sophie heard something different. She heard footsteps in the hallway, small ones, bare feet moving slowly outside her room. Then the whisper returned, soft and playful. Come out, wherever you are. When Claire woke up in the morning, the basement door was wide open. Claire stood at the top of the basement stairs, gripping the railing tightly. The door hung open, creaking slightly as the draft from below rose up, carrying the cold smell of damp earth. She flipped the light switch. Nothing. The bulb didn't flicker. It didn't even hum. The blackness below seemed to swallow sound itself. Daniel came down behind her, half asleep, rubbing his eyes. "What are you doing up?" he mumbled. Claire pointed down. The door was open. Daniel sighed. "It's an old latch. Probably didn't catch." He closed the door and locked it with a tired smile. But Claire couldn't shake the feeling that something had come up those stairs while they slept. The following day was bright and quiet, the kind of calm that makes you question your own fear. Claire tried to keep busy, cleaning the kitchen, unpacking the last of the boxes. Sophie spent the morning in the backyard, playing alone near the swing set. Every now and then, Claire would look out the window just to check, and each time Sophie was there, talking softly to someone Claire couldn't see. She moved around the yard as if following invisible footsteps, stopping to listen, then laughing under her breath. By afternoon, the sky had started to gray again. Daniel was at work in his home office, headset on, lost in spreadsheets. Claire went outside to call Sophie in for lunch. The air was still heavy, as if the whole yard was holding its breath. "Sophie," she called. "Time to eat." Sophie didn't respond. Claire walked closer, her shoes crunching softly on the dry leaves. Then she saw her. Sophie was standing perfectly still near the woods, facing the trees. Her head tilted slightly to one side, listening. Claire called her name again, louder this time. Sophie finally turned around, her expression blank. "She doesn't want me to go inside," Sophie said quietly. Claire knelt beside her. "Who doesn't?" Sophie's eyes flicked toward the forest. "Lily." Claire's chest tightened. "Sweetheart, there's no one out there. You're scaring me." Sophie frowned as if she didn't understand why her mother couldn't see what she saw. "She said you'll hide next time." That night, Claire couldn't sleep. She lay awake listening to the rhythm of Daniel's breathing, the hum of the refrigerator downstairs, the occasional creak of the floorboards. Then, faintly, she heard it, the sound of a child humming. It came from the backyard, drifting through the open window like smoke. She slipped out of bed and walked to the window. The swing was moving again, slow, deliberate. One seat, then another, back and forth. Her phone's flashlight cut through the darkness as she stepped out onto the porch. The humming stopped. She scanned the yard, nothing. The swings hung motionless now, dripping with dew. Claire took a shaky breath and turned back toward the house, and that's when she saw it. Tiny footprints in the mud, leading from the swing toward the basement door. The next morning, Daniel checked the security cameras. He rewound the footage from 1 a.m., when Claire had been outside. For a while, there was only darkness.